Wala. So this part suggests that a movement doesn't have to depersonalize. It can instead transfer its emotional core to a new chosen leader. Has Nnamdi Kanu done that already? Now let's look at part 3. The failure of succession. And I'll use the Biafran War as a case study. So this brings us to the most tragic example, one intimately tied to the very cause that Ipob champions, the original Republic of Biafra. That movement, led by the charismatic Emeka Odumegwu Ojukwu, ended not with a smooth succession, but with a military defeat in January 1970. The enemy, in quote, delivered the final blow. The Nigerian Federal Forces took over Biafra. There was never a chance to test the movement's ability to survive its leader because the state did not survive the war. So this is the cautionary tale of Ipob. External defeat renders all questions of internal succession irrelevant. When I did my master's degree in political science, my thesis was on the Igbo question, and the focus was Ahịara Declaration, because Ahịara Declaration is the Biafran document stating the ideals of the Biafran Revolution. If you are an Igbo man and you have not read that document, please go and read it. It is online. Download it. Read it. And I'm planning to publish my thesis because I did an analysis of that document. I am a student of the Biafran question. And if you check my YouTube channels, you will find interviews on the Nigerian Civil War. I'm still conducting more interviews that will be released soon. Because the Biafran question is the biggest question in the history of Nigeria. And it cannot be swept under the carpet just like that. And it's part of the reason that the governments of the time removed history from secondary school syllabus. But we must study it. So I read anything on Biafra. That is why when Yakubu Gowon released his autobiography, I was excited. I said, yes, let Gowon tell his story of the war. Just that I'm sad that Ojukwu did not give us a detailed account of the war. But many of those who fought alongside Ojukwu have given detailed accounts.
It has a lot of information, so there are a lot.
This is Gowon's autobiography.
Filled with lies.
You get this book on udarabooks.com. Udarabooks.com is our store. What we have done with that bookstore is to stock every available work on Nigerian history. So udarabooks.com offers you the opportunity to get available books. Some of the books on the Biafran War are no longer available. And reading those books will also help you understand different perspectives of the war. I have seen some persons that have already condemned Yakubu Gowon's story. It is his story. He tells his story the way he wants to tell it. but historians will analyze it. I don't know if you have listened to my interview with Alabi Sama. I have sat down while Alabi Sama was writing this book. I was even reading the manuscript. What attracted me to him while he was writing was the maps he had of the war. Yeah, he fought on the side.
We see the likes of Gowon telling their own stories and every other person who participated in the Biafra Civil War. Some of the Biafra Civil War stories were distorted, no doubt. Some of the stories were told, in defense of the Biafran side, while some were also told in the defense of the Nigerian side. So you can tell your story based on how you feel it suits your own interest and understanding. So that brings us to the issue of IPOB.
Do you know the idiot that is talking?
No, who is it?
Is this idiot, Patrick? They are one of their media warriors, the one that is their, I think he's their chief media warrior. He's the one speaking.
Media warrior for the
for Chikedozium senior media warrior. That's the person speaking.
All right.
That idiot. They call Patrick.
Yeah.
And there is a question you asked just a few minutes ago. Is there a civil war in IPOB? Absolutely not. There is no civil war in IPOB. The truth of the matter is that IPOB have never lived without crisis. From its foundation to this moment, IPOB have gone through crisis right from onset due to what I would say lack of some sort of transparency in dealings. In recent time, we've seen the likes of Wazurike, we've seen the likes of Emeka Esiri coming to tell their own story of their encounter with Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. We've seen so many other people too who have come to talk about how they sponsored the project and how the whole story went down. So when you look at the trajectory of how Mazi Nnamdi Kanu started, also looking at that from the perspective of what we are seeing today, the whole trajectory goes always in the same direction, where Mazi Nnamdi Kanu have not actually been able to work effectively, transparently, with people who have worked with him right from the beginning till this moment. And these are the experience we've also seen some of us in IPOB, where at some point the IPOB as an organization was kind of being pushed into a direction of a family kind of hegemony. And without perspective, a lot of young Biafrans feel it is completely wrong that the IPOB that everybody have contributed to through crowdfunding, supported. We've seen young people put their lives on the line, make sacrifices. Is being pushed in a direction that makes it look like a family, Nnamdi Kanu family business. So when you say there is a civil war in IPOB, to some extent there is a kind of internal revolution and resistance to make sure that such does not happen. Now, at the beginning, I listened to people calling in to talk about the dissolving of the Directorate of State. For the first time in IPOB, we saw a situation where leadership structure of IPOB was built outside the pool.
You see the lie. This bunch of idiots, this criminal, look at him here. First of all, he accusing Mazi Nnamdi Kanu of making IPOB a family business. And now he's talking about building IPOB outside the pool. This is one of the propaganda they're pushing, that the leader, the new HOD, put in place Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, that he's not a member of IPOB.
And
that's the line you're pushing up and down. That is what he brought here now.
Yeah, and he also mentioned lack of transparency, but he's not fair to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. The guy is not fair.
Very idiotic human being.
He's not fair to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. I have studied the entire almost from the beginning, and bro, if you are not a fair-minded human being, then it's easy to come out and speak the way this guy is speaking, because given the circumstance, Nnamdi Kanu did everything humanly possible. He did his best. Not perfect, trust me. It cannot even be. How can it even be perfect? In scenarios where everything is like aligned for you to perfect it, it's not perfect. How much more a situation whereby a lot of people are fighting to tear you down, and the enemy is also fighting to penetrate, to infiltrate, and to tear you down. So you can put yourself in position of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Like I always say, 2014, when I came into the scenario, I tried to interview, I talked with people, and the things that people were saying. And this is a guy that has this vision and knows how to go about it, because we don't want it to remain endlessly, year in, year out, decade after decade. But there are people pulling him back, making accusations, setting up traps. So it's just not fair. But anyway, at the end of the day, everything will be put in proper perspective, because if you are an Igbo person, you're a Biafran, any genuine Biafran, it doesn't matter any part of Biafra, and you don't stand behind Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, then there's something wrong with you. Then you are not genuine in the first place, because this is a man who has stood behind every one of us until this day, has never betrayed and will never betray his front to it. So we must stand behind him. It doesn't matter, no matter what, we must stand behind it. We know that these enemies here and there, people will try to take advantage, people will try whatever, but we must remain steadfast. And we, as long as we are alive, by the grace of Chukwu, we'll continue to stand behind Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, because he's still behind us. Thank you, my brother.
You're welcome.
It has never happened before. So that gives a lot of people concern and put a lot of suspicion in people's mind that you cannot choose leadership of IPOB outside the pool, considering the laid down rules and regulation that guides the IPOB structure.
The pool has been taken over by the enemy.
Now we're talking about the structure. The same man that gave you the structure, that built that structure, you are saying that he's out of the structure, when the structure clearly states that he has the right to fire and hire.
Yeah.
That, put their IPOB structure in a formation that you cannot choose leadership from outside the pool. And that is the reason you see people consider the new setup, whatever, if I may use the new setup structure by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu as illegitimate, because it is not in conformity with the IPOB code of conduct and IPOB oath, because there is also an oath that...
You see this idiot? The oath he's talking about, a copy of that oath, if you see it, it clearly states that you must pay allegiance to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. You must obey his instruction. That is what the oath says. It's written in the oath in black and white that you must obey the orders that are coming from the supreme leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. And the code of conduct says that he only has the right to fire and hire any principal officer. But they come to this platform of...
and they're talking about that.
Talking about that, oh.
They're not talking about what the code said.
So practically, many IPOB members, thousands and millions of IPOB members are asking questions, but they're not getting their required answers. Do you want to ask a question?
No, I'm just saying you should round off.
Okay. So let me try to round it up. So as long as IPOB all over the world is concerned, what is being constituted now as a new Directorate of State is completely illegitimate to Biafrans all over the world who are IPOB members, who have paid their dues, who have made their contributions,
all over the world,
who have put their lives on the line. The new constituted body
all right, thank you.
He is advocating. He is advocating for his criminal group.
He's an idiot now. He's the media warrior, Patrick.
Biafrans all over the world. Very soon, boom. Very soon. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, my brother joining me on TikTok. You have a contribution to make? Go ahead and make contribution before I continue on the video I have on my hand. Are you there? Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead, my brother. You're welcome.
Everything they are talking about is very much immaterial. Is that if they are coming out for Canada, that's a different case.
Yeah.
But if they are coming out against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, that's another different case. Anybody, he has done it before. But if you are coming out yourself, when you
never.
Is the one that established the IPOB.
Absolutely.
And he knew the kind of mentality that people have. That is why he accepted the idea of command and control. And he initiated that if you come under that IPOB, you are under his command. And he's going to, he can fire you. And he can retain you.
Yes.
Sustain your position if you are doing very well. He has conditions. A particular strong. That is if you are pure in heart,
yes.
If you are genuine, if you don't show signs of sabotage, if you understood the complexity of Nigeria and Biafra, if you understand the level of danger that Biafra people are into in Nigeria. So there are things that has. So you can say that you cease from your office, from your office with immediate effect.
Yes.
If there is evidence showing that you are not fighting the Biafra according to the principles that was laid down in the IPOB. The book stated it very clear that you cannot manipulate people by speaking interesting English and pointing accusing fingers on Mazi Nnamdi.
That's right.
What you should do is that you go back to the exterior that has been released and tell them you people will work out how you were repaid and come back and serve IPOB elect. Sorry, DOS elect.
Yes.
If you find out that the DOS elect are not they are entitled to the final then you go and begin to investigation.
Absolutely.
Your resources where your money is, and bring the evidence to the public. Now it's reachable. It's not there yet. You take this information and take those details to him, and he will review them, look at them, decide. You understand?
Yes.
So, but if you are fighting because you notice something on calendar side, or you notice something on somewhere else, and you are first, you are attacking our truth.
That's right.
You are attacking our
believe in anything that is putting out there. But nobody is sensible Biafrans will come out and begin to attack me and say that they can't jump.
That is the problem. The attack on Onyendu is the problem. Nobody.
These jihadis are going to every single one of you. Women with the mind of your children will be used as slaves. Most of our people not being used as slaves. In the States, the girls are running away on many places. Passing through the Sahara Desert where they are centrally molested and harassed. Some of them are doing prostitution in Egypt. So if you listen to it for me, it's already happening. It's been decided. We have people who want to implement jihad, they want to Islamize everybody. They don't like the heritage that we inherit from ancestors. They don't like we are one of the most ancient people in this planet. We have a civilization. Every person that wants to rise up and become somebody, colonial empire, or anything, they must come to Biafra to steal, to destroy people.
Yeah.
And people will begin running from them. So if you have anything against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, investigation, so you know that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is not your problem. And the idea of attacking a man that is not here to defend himself.
So sad.
For me, it's
cowardice. Serious one.
If let this man say maybe I don't know so obviously you are saying what sense does it make at the end of the day? It does not make any sense. It will mean that you have achieved your aim all this year that you've wanted to honor this man. You see an opportunity to do it. His wife is saying the same thing that you are saying. So it's not standing for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. God has designed the mental strength that God gave him knows no boundary. If not, if it's superior, he would have maybe killed himself.
Yes.
Or hang himself or commit some kind of suicide. But still, in jail, he is still telling you that his people need this unity and togetherness.
Exactly.
And there is no how to oppose to defend itself in battle. You are divided. You understand? And this is why we are buying the idea of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. We are not going to lump up with people that we don't know if they have come to recycle their company, their stomach infrastructure. We are investigating these people to know if what they are doing are from is the one that is with the remote control. Someone saying that he wants to unpack. I won't be trying you for saying that.
You know, my brother, why I don't like talking about that one is because it is irrelevant. As far as I'm concerned, that statement is irrelevant. Because every one of us know that there is no way you can talk about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu today without Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. The reason why Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is still standing today is because of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. This attack should have started since long time, years ago. But Mazi Nnamdi Kanu put himself, and he was the one taking the bullet. He was taking all the bullets from Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. So that's why when Kanu came with such, I see it as an irrelevant talk. I don't even pay attention to it, neither do I respond to some. We know where our focus is.
Simon is the cause of security in Salis. Simon is the one that is people in Salis. Simon is the one in charge of one. Simon is this, Simon is that.
That is it. Today is by far now. Is it not the same thing they are doing at Mazi Nnamdi Kanu today? It's the same thing they are doing to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu.
They sent it to the United Nations and sent it to Finland. Collaboration with the Nigerian government.
Imagine. Imagine.
Sent them to Mazi Nnamdi to go to Finland to represent against Simon and against the African government. And sent other people from Ipob to stand and say testify witness in favor of all these claims against Simon. So it seems like both the IPOB both the DOS supporters and followers, both Nigerian government, both to do wife and Mazi Nnamdi Kanu wife. These people together went to Finland and the United Nations to say that they should put Simon in jail. That is the one doing all these things that is happening in the Southeast. Even if before Simon was born, while Simon was still in the stomach, or they have not even released the spell that will bring Simon. Our people had the visit genocidal war, Islamic jihadist genocidal war inside Biafra. They claim Biafra since they have worked with the British to remove it from the map and took away the history. And even because of Biafra, suspend history from the economy and the economy that nobody knows. Nobody knows where they are coming from in Nigeria. Nobody knows people. They don't know where they are coming from. How can you tell me that you have a future when you don't have your history? You don't learn it in school. Nobody teach you your ancestors what happened to them. How they became in Nigeria. That is a baby of yesterday. You know, during the Biafran war, the British said the Nigerian papa. Nigerian is a baby. Born in 1914. It wasn't even completely born. It's a baby that tried to be his own father. To make mistake of the word to claim that it's becoming a nation. How do you become a nation when you have 3 different nations inside the people that you are trying to make up with? A different language, different way of life, different civilization. If some people DNA is their DNA is coming from Mesopotamia, their DNA is coming, they are coming from those, and some people will do DNA with Yoruba, they told us that people have A1B, A1B, something like that. We don't have these people, they come out from their great-grandfathers, nobody knows about it. Somebody we don't know where it's coming from is coming to create a hard group for the Asian, one of the oldest people in the world today. So you see that, my brother. So these people, if you and your activity reading all this letter, now the people who send those letters to the United Nations blocking Biafrans from getting freedom because it was not coming from them, it was coming from Simon. And going to Finland to pick him up so that the freedom we are looking for will not be actualized. They withdrew those letters they sent to Finland. Have they written a disclaimer, even if it's no longer accepted? Have they written to Finland and written a disclaimer letter to the United Nations that Simon was genuine, pure in heart? He was a so until they do that, the constitution with these people will be.
Thank you so much, my brother. Thank you for your contribution. You have spoken well, and this very request you made, we have made it on several platforms. Even when I saw actually we were doing program, people came and made the same request, and I believe if truly they are genuine on what they are doing, that move must be made, because as much as someone is coming to court on Tuesday, something must be done. Something must be done. I mean, the former IPOB, because they were the one that wrote, they were part of the letter that was part of the sentencing of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu that brought myself into problem. They were part of the letters. They wrote it. They put their signatures. So this new IPOB should send a disclaimer distancing IPOB from that very letter that was sent and make it clear that it was blackmail and propaganda. It has nothing true about it. It is very important and it must be done. I thank God that many Biafrans are speaking up on that direction, and it is something that must be done. And I believe by the special grace of God, something will be done about that. The lawyers from Mazi Nnamdi Kanu are hearing it. The Mazi Nnamdi Kanu already is getting the information, and I believe in a short while something will definitely happen. But our focus on these people, we will never. Nobody stands in to challenge Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's order or try to bring something else. Before, thank you so much, my brother, for your contribution. And Bro Chris, you want to say something?
Oh no, well, this brother speaking from TikTok, the voice wasn't coming out, but it's okay that you heard his voice, and he's all right. So yeah, so I don't know, but like I said, and I will continue to say that we must all stand solidly, strongly behind Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and Mazi Sabanekpa. These two guys, they have the interests of Biafrans at heart forever. That I can, yes. They are tested. I've said it severally. So we cannot. But no, it doesn't matter the propaganda. It doesn't matter the lies and twist and fabrication, because you know they will do everything possible to believe in that we will turn against them. No. That is never going to happen, because we've seen it all. Okay, and we know the extent in which the zoo government, the enemies, are trying to disorganize, to disorient our people, and to, you know, so it's, again, I for me, I can't even understand how anybody who understands what is going on and what we are going through, we listen to these people, the DOS, from the time that Onyendu was kidnapped till this time, till this very moment. They've been playing a role that is not just suspicious, but detrimental, you know. And but the bottom line is that, like I said, we cannot allow anybody to lead us through lies into turning against these two guys who have stood solidly behind us, who have rejected every attempt to bribe them, to coerce, to you know what I mean? So we cannot turn against those people. That would be the biggest betrayal. And they did not, they swore not to betray us. We shouldn't betray them. If we are genuine, if you're Biafran, if you're one that believe in the truth, look at what is happening in the zoo. Every day it gets worse. Every day it gets worse. They need to take over your place, emasculate you, and just render you like they render the houses. You know, these things get intensified. We can't say it enough. So these are the two guys that have shown their willingness to put everything on the line. Every other faction, whatever, they are all under microscope till this day. So these are the two guys, and that is also why, for the most part, they are where they are, because they refuse to compromise. They refuse to sell us. So thank you, my brother Chus. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. There is one part of this interview, it's still long, but there's one part I want us to listen to. One part of this program I want us to listen to, which caught my attention. And in that place where Edmond played some kind of a thing, what he said, I want us to listen to that, and so that we can comment that. With that, we can be able to round up this program.
All right, we do that.
The
then
state's
afterwards,
cross
I have to
appeal.
go. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Ipob argues is an admission that the trial court lacked jurisdiction. This is the legal warfare where the state, having broken its faction suspension of Kanu, citing security concerns and fears of violence, fits perfectly into this
posts that
observers ready to intervene by Justice I.N. Owebo, who heard the matter in Owerri, Imo State. Now, let's turn to a critical piece of this puzzle, Remember, conspiracy theory.
My brother Christian, I want you to pay attention to this part. Pay close attention. Let's
Now,
okay,
let's turn to a critical piece of this puzzle. Remember, conspiracy theory. You also help me break it down. But let me take you into the theory. Edosium's legal victory may have inadvertently deepened the division within Ipob that we are now seeing.
wait. Let me take it back.
Was an ex parte order, meaning, what do you think? Does it not create a narrative of a leader who now watches
Every attempt to destroy them, prison, in the hands of our enemy?
cited an intelligence report about a meeting between Kanu and officials of the Department of State Services at Sokoto Prison. They argued that Kanu's communications were being monitored and that his unguarded utterances led to the arrest and deaths of members. They even suggested a plan to establish a new militia organization to instigate violence. From a strategic standpoint, is this a masterclass in sowing disaffection? The Nigerian state haven't failed to silence Kanu through legal means, now watches as the movement he built tears itself apart. By leaving Kanu accessible, yet perpetually monitored, the state creates a paradox. What do you think? Kanu is a martyr, but his words can be used against his followers. Is that what you think? Consider these implications. The rendition as president. The Kenya court ruling that Kanu's arrest was unlawful is a fundamental challenge to the legitimacy of his entire trial. His defense team had argued that it was a calculated effort to force a conviction to survive the absence of law. The state's cross-appeal, Ipob argues, is an admission that the trial court lacked jurisdiction. This is the legal warfare where the state, having broken its own rules, now dares the movement to prove it. Let's look at intelligence and paranoia. The Directorate of State's statement alleging a meeting between Kanu and DSS officials is a powerful destabilizing tool.
Definitely.
It doesn't matter if it is true. The accusation itself injects poison into Ipob's bloodline. What do you think?
True.
Does it not create a narrative of a leader who is either compromised or, at best, dangerously naive while the state watches and waits? So what is the ultimate goal? This is the end point of the state's strategy. Remember, the state is always strategic. The state has the instrument to infiltrate.
Yeah.
That is why the state is powerful.
1 minute.
Okay, go ahead.
You know, Yeah, there's this guy that spoke a few, should I say, minutes ago, who trying to lie and upon lie by saying that they are doing it to extricate Mazi Nnamdi Kanu from any trouble. But these things now doesn't show that at all, because they are saying that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is trying to instigate more violence in the, so that doesn't even make any sense. You know, I think that is the guy you said that he's the spokesperson or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the one who came. He's tried to kind of present a narrative that doesn't even make sense, because he is trying to say on this program when he called him that what they are doing is not to either sack or terminate Mazi Nnamdi Kanu as a leader, but that they are trying to extricate him from the problems by removing him, you know, sort of not removing his office, but removing him. But it's just a lie, maybe lying by half, you know, because if you want to do that, let's just say for the sake of argument that you want to extricate, like Samonekpa did it, if you remember, right? When there was a time.
He did it. Samonekpa did it now.
Yeah, but it was clear, it was very obvious that he's doing it for the interest of our Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and for the movement. But not coming out to try to implicate him by saying that you sacked him because he's trying to install violence in the southeast by recruiting, by blah blah blah. That does so. That is my point. I just want to chip in this. So if they think they are trying to play smart, it's not going to work for Biafrans who have their brain intact. These are enemies within. You know, they've been hijacked by the zoo government. These DOS, they've been hijacked. Money has been exchanging hands for so long. They've gone, they've sold out completely. And we're not surprised because, again, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, before this whole thing started, he already kind of positioned our mind. Nnamdi Kanu has positioned Biafran's mind that these things will happen. He said they will buy many of you. You remember that? That was his statement. They will buy you over, but it's not going to stop anything because at the end of the day, we must continue. Thank you, my brother.
Come, let's think. By allowing Kanu's legal and personal fate to create a quarrel, has the Nigerian state succeeded in destroying Ipob?
No, we are.
Can the state simply let Ipob destroy itself while the state sits back, observes, and occasionally feeds the flames with a leaked report or a legal gambit?
Yeah, they do all over.
Ipob's crisis is now a crisis of faith. And in that vacuum, the Nigerian state whispers becomes louder than the leader's voice from prison. So far, we have traced Nnamdi Kanu's legal odyssey and the internal rupture it has created. But that rupture didn't happen in a vacuum. It was catalyzed, and it continues to be feared by a legal and political weapon. The state's former designation of Ipob as a terrorist organization has implications. To understand Ipob's current crisis, we have to understand how this designation came about and how the Nigerian state has used it as a strategic tool of disintegration. The formal process began in September 2017. A year the Nigerian military had already declared Ipob a violent terrorist organization, creating political momentum for legal action. On September 20th, 2017, Justice Abdul Kafarati of the Federal High Court in Abuja granted an ex parte application filed by the then Attorney General Abubakar Malami. Critically, This was an ex parte order, meaning that it was granted without Ipob being notified or given a chance to defend itself. The court declared Ipob's activities as acts of terrorism and illegality and proscribed its existence and directed the government to publish the order in the official gazette and 2 national newspapers. Ipob immediately challenged this, arguing that it violated their constitutional right to fair hearing. In January 2025, the Court of Appeal affirmed the proscription of Ipob, ruling that the government has acted lawfully and that Ipob activities pose a threat to Nigeria's continued existence. In November 2025, Justice James Omotosho went a step further, not just affirming the group's proscription, but also convicting Nnamdi Kanu and declaring him an international terrorist, specifically citing his threats to attack the British High Commission and the United States Embassy. This legal firework is a label. It is a weapon. The Nigerian state's deployment of the terrorist designation has strategic implications for Ipob's internal cohesion. By legally branding the entire organization and its leader as terrorist, the Nigerian state delegitimizes the very idea of Biafran self-determination. It transforms a political grievance into a criminal enterprise. This puts immense pressure on members and supporters, forcing them to choose between their political beliefs and the risk of prosecution. This pressure is precisely what creates the environment for internal fractures. Now that the state has been careful to apply this designation selectively, I want you to take note of that. The Nigerian state has been careful to apply this terrorist designation selectively.
Pay attention to this part. Just pay attention to this part.
Yeah.
I want to dive into a conspiracy theory. You can help me break it down, but I will dive into it.
For me, it's not a conspiracy theory.
And Edoziem's name is prominent in this analysis.
Go ahead.
For instance, in a significant ruling in February 2025, a federal high court cleared Ipob's head of Directorate of State, Chika Edoziem, the very figure leading the faction that suspended Kanu of terrorism charges.
Do you remember this?
Mazi.
Do you remember this?
Which one?
Do you remember when the federal government cleared this Chika Edoziem of terrorism charges?
Oh, okay. I didn't remember now.
The same person that he claimed to be in charge of IPOB that is proscribed. In his own case, he was cleared in 2015. He was cleared of terrorism charges in federal high court.
Okay.
Just listen.
Okay.
Just pay attention to this side.
The court ruled that Edoziem designation as a wanted person and terrorist was unconstitutional. Now, let's turn to a critical piece of this puzzle. Remember, conspiracy theory. You also help me break it down.
I will.
But let me take you into the theory. Edoziem's legal victory may have inadvertently deepened the division within Ipob that we are now seeing.
It is all planned by federal government. All the way they've been working towards.
We are talking about the acquittal of Chika Edoziem, the head of the Directorate of State, who was cleared of terrorism charges by a federal high court in Owerri in February 2025. The case is suit number FHCOW/FHR/29/2024 with Edoziem as the applicant against the Minister of Defense and the Chief of Defense Staff as respondents. The judgment was delivered by Justice I.N. Owebo, who heard the matter in Owerri, Imo State. This is how it started. On the 22nd of March 2024, the Ministry of Defense published its first edition of 2024, a security threat notice listing Edoziem as a wanted person, terrorist, insurgent, kidnapper, and a violent criminal, and they added his picture to that publication.
Yes.
So what did Edoziem do? He immediately challenged this declaration, arguing that he was never given any invitation or accused of any offense before the publication, making the entire process a violation of his constitutional rights. So he filed a fundamental rights enforcement suit to challenge his unlawful designation. And the justice delivered a decisive verdict. The court declared the inclusion of Edoziem's name in the security threat publication illegal and unconstitutional. The ruling affirmed that the publication was a gross violation of his constitutionally guaranteed right to dignity of the human person. The court ordered the Minister of Defense and Chief of Defense Staff to immediately retract the declaration of Edoziem as a terrorist, insurgent, kidnapper, violent criminal, and wanted person. The government was directed to issue an unreserved apology to Edoziem in 2 national newspapers. The court awarded 5 million naira in damages to Edoziem for the infringement of his fundamental rights. So let's give context to this judgment. Let's unravel it a bit.
Go ahead.
You help me break it down.
We are here.
I am just a political analyst.
Well done.
I am just a political scientist.
Absolutely.
I feed on issues.
I got you. This is the best
Now,
part of this very program.
significantly, Edoziem was the only individual among the many names listed in that defense headquarters publication
That was clear.
who successfully challenged his designation in court. This isolation is crucial for understanding the subsequent political dynamics. Ipob's lead counsel, Ifeanyi Ejiofor, hailed the ruling as historic and landmark, framing it as a strong statement against unjust profiling and emphasizing the importance of due process in security matters. Now let's connect this to our central analysis. I'm just thinking, the Nigerian state's strategy of selectively applying the terrorist designation seems to have found a legal loophole.
Absolutely.
Edoziem, as the head of the Directorate of State, has been judicially cleared of the terrorist label, yet he's a member of a terrorist organization.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And he was cleared by the government.
This means that a key figure leading the faction that suspended Nnamdi Kanu is now legally clean in the eyes of the Nigerian judiciary, while Kanu himself was sentenced to life imprisonment and declared an international terrorist.
You see how they divided it?
Yeah.
This creates a devastating asymmetry. What do you think?
Edmond, you try for it.
Am I playing the devil's advocate here?
You are not. You are just speaking the truth, the obvious. You are just revealing the obvious.
Edoziem is the reasonable, legally vindicated leader who can now claim legitimacy.
In the eye of the government.
Is that a conspiracy theory? Kanu remains the convicted terrorist, accessible only through monitored prison communications. Is this the Nigerian state's trap in action? By allowing one faction to be legally cleansed while the other is criminalized, is the Nigerian state feeling the internal rupture?
They are the one that created the DOS. We know now.
Edoziem's legal victory validates his faction's argument that the movement must distance itself from Kanu's militant rhetoric. Is that true?
See, the whole thing is making sense.
Remember, the state doesn't have to destroy Ipob. It can simply let the cleared faction and the criminalized faction tear each other apart, while the courts and security agencies stand by as observers ready to intervene on behalf of the acceptable leadership when the dust settles. So which is the acceptable leadership?